You've probably seen all these videos where someone tries to beat a Sonic game without left or right, but these are always 2D games that use Knuckles who can turn around on walls.
Wow! Incredible!
But what about Sonic Generations, a 30% 3D game? You're probably thinking, how would you beat the other 70% of 2D parts without being able to turn around? The answer is
No.
Classic Sonic would make this challenge impossible from level 1. The only thing that matters here is modern Sonic. Here are the rules. I can complete Classic Sonic's levels normally along with his boss fights. For modern Sonic, I can't press left or right, but any other input is allowed. To get the 3 gate keys per era, I have to complete one moderately difficult challenge per zone as modern Sonic. For the final boss Time Eater, I have to stay in 3D the whole time.
Switch with the Y button! Switch with the Y button! Switch with the Y button! Switch with the Y button!
Okay, now I'm gonna explain how the heck I could even beat a level like this. The most important tech in this challenge are front dashes and back dashes. But in a 2D part of a level, if you hold forwards or backwards while air dashing, Sonic will dash towards or away from the camera. The reason this is important is that if they are used, they can change your direction. In most cases, they'll both turn you to the right, in some, one will face you left and the other right, and rarely they'll both face you right. This solves the major 2D issue of turning around. One more important thing is turning in 3D. Using the quick step or somersault, it's easy to move horizontally, but while playing, I found a way to turn in a certain direction. While facing forwards or back, tapping the direction opposite of the way you're facing will make Sonic turn up to 180 degrees. That mixed with an air dash can allow you to turn and move. Somersaulting and jumping will sometimes change the rotational hemisphere you're locked to so you can turn the other direction. That's all you gotta know, now we gotta go fast or not. Also, I have a Discord server now, you guys can join that, link down below so we can talk in game. I start out boosting through Green Hill until the first obstacle, 2D, but this first part is pretty manageable. The real challenge starts after the Mega Chopper. I did a boost instead of an air dash and wasn't able to turn around here and had to restart. I take the top path instead and skip that entire section below. The rest of the level was 3D and I boosted through it all. Chemical Plant starts out easy until I get to the section with the moving blocks. I couldn't turn around and I had to boost up the slope. It took a few tries, but it's possible with a good boost. I learned a little bit before this, but to get up a large slope without boost, do short hops then air dashes rather than spin jumps. I dashed to turn around after falling in the water and then got stuck against a wall and drowned. I got back to that area and took the top path, and after some careful jumps, I beat the level. Now, Sky Sanctuary. Don't even get me started on this level. It took me hours and I'll explain why. At this point, I didn't even know how to turn in 3D and didn't have a way to get over the ledge. Once I figured it out, I got to the 2D pull section, which is just impossible because I can't change directions. I thought I found a secret path below the level, but it just led me back up. I had to restart so I could find another path, and after some careful maneuvering to take me to the right path at the split, I used the springs, which ended up taking me to the same place. After restarting, I realized there was only one way ahead, which was to use the clouds, which was much easier said than done, because I had to be at a perfect angle and be able to turn the right direction on the clouds. But eventually, this happened. I continued through the level thinking it couldn't get worse, until I reached this 2D section and I made it up to this area with 2 available paths. The top one, which seems easy until you realize it's impossible to change direction on the second cloud, and the bottom path, which is on a timer to either kill the egg robo or get to the button before it. This one almost made me give up until after a lot of practice I made it there first. After getting trapped in a spike cage, the rest of the level was easy. Also, side note I learned after writing all of this video, there is a way to skip the 2D trigger, which basically allows you to get through the rest of this difficult part without even having to be in 2D. You can just go around the wall or kill the egg robo or something. Didn't know that, so let's move on. The Green Hill challenge I did was the one with 300% boost so I can get the double boost power up. Most of the level is easy except this one part with the buzz bombers until I realized I can just skip the second one and homing attack the third one. I tried the Amy's Hammer challenge until getting stuck up on a wall. I tried a few other challenges in Chemical Plant and got stuck on them until trying the hammer one again. I was careful with my air dashes and was able to bypass that first section. I learned here that a bunch of hops on a moving platform will make me face left, and the next issue is at these breakable boxes, but air dashing after hitting one facing left will keep me going. With some careful timing and maneuvering, the challenge is complete. The final challenge for the Classic Era is the one with Knuckles digging for medals. This one was pretty simple with the main challenge being turning, but it was the easiest of the 3. Metal Sonic, Death Egg Robot, blah blah blah, it's time for speed! I started Speed Highway boosting through it until I reached this platform that I can't turn around on and started thinking of ideas on how to take the left route. A long range homing attack gets me onto the spinning platforms, but I can't turn around and have to find ways to get on the higher set of platforms while still facing left. After trying for a while, when I was next to a wall and did a dash, I would turn left and was able to progress. The last issue was at this wall I couldn't turn around at, but boosting into it turned me the right direction and I beat the level. Cityscape starts the same as Speed Highway, going forward with no thoughts in my head until getting to the hardest part of the level, this jump. To get to the spring here, I needed to turn right, but no matter how many times I tried, I could only turn left. After I restarted, I turned right while in front of the enemies, and after homing attacking them, I still would turn right after. After that section, the rest of the level is insanely easy compared to you know what. Right before Seaside Hill, I finally equipped the 2x boost, and thanks to good fortune, the majority of the level is easy. At the junction, I choose the car and breeze right through it. I make it through the rolling spike wheels and barely don't die at the end. For the Speed Highway challenge, I tried the drifting one, which was simple, but I thought it was boring and too easy. So I did the SBO Camouflage challenge. The hardest parts of this challenge were the first room with 2 lights because it was difficult to maneuver and hit the lights. The area 2 sections after was difficult because I would keep getting hit and wasn't able to hit SB on time, but they both became trivial over time. I ran out of time and had to start from the beginning, but made it in a few more tries. The City Escape challenge just required some good maneuverability on the spinning platforms, and I got through it soon enough. For the Seaside Hill challenge, I did the one where Rouge seduced robots on command. The difficult part was at the very end where I had to captivate a bunch of robots who kept moving when turning was my biggest issue, but after much patience I seduced them and then brutally destroyed them. The shadow fight was fine as I just had to dodge his attack, and during it I learned that jumping when on the ledge of a turn will correct the camera, which lets me keep boosting forward and take out Shadow. It's time for Big Babby Sonic's first boss fight, and I got stuck up against a wall. But with more careful jumps I got around it. The difficulty didn't really kick up until the next phase of the boss fight, where many homing attacks were necessary and I could barely even turn. After many deaths and tries, I had the Big Dingus's orange head on my last life. Also, does anyone think that the dark blue effect on Perfect Chaos's design is unsettling? The Pure Water SA1 version looks much better in my opinion. Now it's time for the level from the least glitchy Sonic game. I get stuck on this platform here until spin jumping a couple times allows me to turn right. Things keep going well until I'm stuck against a wall, can't turn, and the checkpoint would make me soft blocked. I restart from the beginning thinking of ways I can take the harder to get to left path. I was able to turn around on the boxes and I slowly went down them one by one. I missed the first time I tried, but the next time I went to the right and then turned around, which actually worked. I stomped through the boxes and fell off the crumbling platforms, which is the only way to get past the last geyser to continue. I had fun boosting and quick stepping because I knew it was coming next. Rooftop Run! Who doesn't love this level, just boosting through as fast as possible with a soundtrack that really feels like gotta go fast. Anyways, I might not have been going as fast as normal. The level was pretty easy up until this 2D part with the balloon because I couldn't turn around in midair. I was eventually able to get to the top path and beat this level easily. Okay, if you thought that I thought Sky Sanctuary was bad, this piece of crap over here really tested me. The early part was pretty easy because it was all 3D and all the problems started inside the factory because it's 95% 2D. The first problem starts with this rocket in this area that doesn't respawn, making it difficult to position myself correctly. During later tries I learned that boosting off the slope puts me in the perfect position. You might think, oh that's not too bad. You're right, it only gets worse. After the shortest and most useless 3D section, I get to the dreaded section in the factory. Most available paths at the start worked surprisingly and all took me to this checkpoint. On the other side of the checkpoint, where I was supposed to go to, was an area where I needed to turn right to continue up the pulley, and I guess I made Sonic Team mad by playing the game wrong. It's not possible to turn right, so I started theory crafting ideas on how to get to a later part of the level, which skipping that area didn't even work. I tried using this rocket wisp, which had no avail. I learned where the earliest place I was able to turn right was. I was thinking if it was possible to land on the moving platforms with an air boost, and after lots of tries and failures, when the platforms are about to get to the edge of the rail, an air boost would land on it. After all that, it doesn't mean that I made it. I guess I f***ed on Sonic Team so much that now I can't even turn left. I tried grabbing the rocket wisp again, hoping it could be useful, and I ended up falling on the stupid random platform while facing left. So I used it, and I did it. I landed on the platform facing left. At this point, I was feeling great, but that was only the third last challenge of this level. After making it up, there was another platform where I can't turn left when I need to. Right after a checkpoint, my plan was to do a jump and an air dash from the checkpoint to land on the edge to turn around, but that would never happen, right? The final challenge and test of this level is the Rocket Wisp platform where I need to grab a Rocket Wisp and maneuver my way to get to the area where I can blast off. The issue is that I'm on a time limit because the ceiling is trying to crush me, but I accidentally learned that if I use the wisp on the normal part of the ceiling, it'll go back up, which actually gave me some extra time. After many tries of practice, even being stuck in the freaking floor, there was only one more area before the goal ring. After a little bit of platforming, I finally did it. finally at the home stretch. The Crisis City challenge I chose was the one where Blaze puts out the blazes, and nothing notable happened. It was average. I also tried the Power Stomp challenge to get the skill, but I was stuck against the same wall as I was in the main level. For Rooftop Run, the first challenge I did was Endless Boost, which is so easy that I wanted to do another one. The second one I did was the skateboarding line, and the only interesting thing that happened was almost dying up high, but then I barely caught myself on the rail. It was barely different from the normal level, and it was just shorter. That one was also really easy, so I chose to do a third challenge where I have to get 250 rings in 90 seconds. Because it was straight the whole way through, I mostly homing attacked and picked up as many rings at the start and beat it. The first Planet Wisp challenge I tried was the one with the light speed dashing and wall jumps, but stopped because it had rail grinding and I couldn't switch rails. The second one I tried was the one where Charmy makes platforms, but I stopped it when the level had 2D platforming sections. And the third one I did was with the Rocket Wisp. It actually wasn't that hard because I kept getting into the perfect positions to use the Wisp and blast it off to the silver fight. Because the majority of the fight was straight 3D, the only difficult parts were the part where he'd smash random stuff on my head because I couldn't control left and right, and the makeshift truck because it just felt like it was a waste of my time. I finished up the fight pretty easily and actually made it to the hard fight. I lied. Honestly, the Egg Dragoon wasn't that bad. Besides my terrible skill at dodging his fire and ice attacks, I got the hang of it pretty well, and in the free fall section, moving up and down was enough to dodge his attacks, and there was only one more boss. The Time Eater. Because I could only move up and down and was only in 3D, I would get low on rings often, but luckily, after he hits me, he'll drop a ton of rings. On the second hit, I only had 1 ring left, but when I hit him, my rings wouldn't deplete and I was getting better at picking up the rings around him. After 2 more easy hits on him, I was actually able to beat all of Sonic Generation's modern stages without using left or right. After all that, doing a challenge that I assumed would be impossible just for dumb fun, my stupid persistence actually did it. Thank you so much for watching up to here, and the one thing I learned from this is that Chowmix was right.